Welcome, Racelogic. Got my buddy Brad on tonight. Brad, appreciate you being on. I know you're a busy man, got a lot going on this year. Your off season, so you probably rather be doing something else. But I appreciate you taking a few minutes.
Absolutely, Brian. Happy to help out when we can, man. I've been a big fan and supporter of yours for a long time. So when we can help out, we always try to.
Well, good. We'll kind of give it a minute or so. We talked a little bit off air, and I've seen a lot of questions lately and a lot of stuff across the internet about care of a fire suit, how one should be, what the rating should be. So I kind of want to clear the air on a lot of people because I think this is something important that probably gets overlooked and I think it needs to be addressed. So, Brad, I guess the first question I would have is that's the biggest is what is a care of any fire suit, whether it's your brand or another one? What is a proper way to care for a fire suit?
Well, that's a good question, Brian. And I think the problem that we run into with this is people fall back into the old school adage, well, that's the way I've always done it. Well, just because it's the way we've always done it doesn't mean that it's right. We've done a tremendous amount of research. We're really lucky that we have two universities here in North Carolina that have burn labs. And we work interns throughout the summer with these colleges. So we actually get burn time. And the really nice thing is their burn lab is way better than SFI or FIA's burn lab. Their stuff is state of the art. It's updated every 90 days. They have impeccable grants. We get to learn about stuff long before they ever learn about it at SFI. So we tested soaps. We've tested soaps a few times. We've been continually trying to make soaps better to try to figure out, are there things in there that are breaking the fabric down? Are they coating the fabric? Are they doing things to the fabric that would remove the fire protection level from them? And the answer is, in most cases, yes, Brian. Commercial laundry detergents, pretty much anything you can buy at the local supermarket will burn. It has some level of perfume, some level of alcohol, or some level of flammable dye in it. That's the biggest problem that we see with commercial laundry detergent. The next thing that we see is they all have fabric softeners in them. That's why your clothes feel good. And fabric softener is nothing more than a plastic coating. And there's nobody in the world that currently makes fire retardant or fireproof plastic. So when you coat the entire garment with plastic, you've now put an outer layer of flammable material right on the garment. And it makes it super easy for it to begin to ignite. So I guess we need to back up a little bit. There's no such thing as a fireproof race suit. They've never been made. Everything will burn at some temperature, including rocks. Y'all have heard about that too. It's called Hawaii. Stuff will catch on fire and burn at some point or penetrate. Ultimately, we're trying to slow down what's called thermal penetration. And that basically is the amount of time it takes for the heat energy to transfer through the garment to your skin and cause a second-degree burn or worse. So when you have detergents, fabric softeners, those kind of things that are accelerants, just like throwing gasoline on a fire, you basically promote burning. So that's why we don't recommend, no manufacturer that I know of that's reputable recommends cleaning with any commercial laundry detergent whatsoever. So that would be the first one. The second one, Brian, I would say is dry cleaning. And everybody's like, oh, but my daddy always dry cleaned his and my grandpa, and I've always dry cleaned mine, and that's fantastic. With the exception of, if you've ever driven around the dry cleaners, for those of you guys that are listening that are truck drivers or work in hazardous materials, there are 703 placards on the outside of dry cleaning facilities. You may call these the diamonds, the colored diamonds. I'm sure you've seen them as well, Brian. They just have the diamonds on the back of it. One of those is chemical reactivity or reactivity. One is chemical composition, and one is flammability, and the other one is special information for the fire department. They have corrosives, explosives, whatever that may be. Well, if you look on that 703 plaque, when you go to the dry cleaners, it will usually represent a number 3 or a number 4. Do your research. Number 3 and number 4 are the highest level of flammability you can have. You see, dry cleaning is not dry. Dry cleaning is done with a solvent. And you and I already know about solvents that we clean race car parts with, clean engine blocks. None of those are non-flammable. Agreed? Every
Right.
solvent that we know of has Vox or vape. So you ever notice in the summertime, Brian, when you're pumping gas, you can see the vapor above it? Well,
Right.
that vapor is what is explosively and violently flammable. Well, guess what dry cleaning fluid does? So basically, you take your garment to a dry cleaners and they fill it full of this chemical that now has Vox or vape. And I don't know if you've ever had a fire suit clean, Brian, or pick one up for a buddy, but they always put it in that nice plastic bag for you, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what that does? It holds all that vapor in. It doesn't allow it to air out. So believe it or not, dry cleaning fluid has about a 21-day incubation period. So now you've added flammability to your suit. We had a situation a couple, 3 years ago at the Tulsa shootout. Kid was in a brand new suit. Brand doesn't matter. Was not mine. Doesn't matter though. It was a very reputable brand, and he had an engine fire. There's a picture of this kid coming out of the car, and there is a blue glow all the way around him. Basically, all of the dry cleaning fluid, he'd picked his suit up the day before from a dry cleaner's in Tulsa. All that residual fluid was burning off the outside of the garment. Unfortunately, that's an accelerant. We don't want to accelerate fire. Then you got all kinds of folklore, black magic, and voodoo about who does what and how they wash this, that, and the other. One other keynote about dry cleaning is most dry cleaners are not single batch dry cleaning anything. Dry cleaning fluid, a drum of dry cleaning fluid, from what I understand, is between $900 and $1,200. And it takes a couple of gallons to do a fire suit. So the cost of that should be around 60, 70, 80 bucks. Nobody's paying that for dry cleaning. So basically, they're just using residual fluid. So let's just say you were the service writer at your local Chevy dealer and you had gasoline all over your pants, and you ran down to the dry cleaners and dropped them off, and they immediately got them in the vat along with Brad Smith's fire suit. Well, guess what's on my fire suit now? All of the additive package from the gasoline has now been transferred to that, in addition to the accelerant from the dry cleaning. So commercial laundry detergents don't work. Dry cleaning doesn't work. So what's the best way, right? There are two companies on earth that currently, that we know of, make FR specific suit for recreational FR products. There's a difference. Fire service does not use recreational. They use something called Ripstop. It all comes from a company in Atlanta called Tecate. Not Tencate like the Mexican beer, but Tecate. It's the tan or the brown chappy looking material you see all firefighter outfits made out of. It's Ripstop material. Their stuff is multi-layered, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 layers. They can be in the fire a lot longer than we can. Let's visit that for a second too, Brian. When we're dealing with race car fires, most race car fires are blue in nature unless they're oil related. If you get a really hot fire, and just so you know, the hotter the fire, the closer it is to white. So a red, deep red fire in purple are the coldest flames you can have. Those are only around 800 degrees. I know that sounds hot, but that's actually low. As you go up the color scale to white, white is in the thousands of degrees. At thousands of degrees, we offer very little protection in what we do for a living because nobody makes a material that survives thousands of degrees. Hundreds, we've got it covered. Thousands, it's not going to happen. So when we're looking at fire as a whole, and you look at firefighter gear versus our gear, they're wearing multiple layers. Circle back. Should we have multiple layers in fire suits? Well, yeah. More layers potentially offer more protection. And it's not always the fabric or the more layers of fabric. It's actually the air between the layers. That's one of the biggest preventatives or protectives that we have, is the ability to dissipate heat energy through air pockets. That's why fire suits are diamond quilted, box quilted, or rib quilted. We've given that driver additional fire protection by doing that. So that brings us to another question. Well, does SFI test with accelerants? The answer is no. And you go, well, how crazy is that? Brian, how long have you been around racing?
Probably 30 years, 35 years.
How many different racetracks have you been to?
Hundreds.
Have you ever been in the pits and just seen a race car driver spontaneously combust? Just be standing in the middle of the pits and catch on fire, not near anything?
No.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's how SFI and FIA test fire suits. They test it under what's called a Bunsen burner, which you probably remember from school biology class and chemistry and everything else that we did. They don't have the ability to accurately test with accelerants. And here's why. Too many variables. Well, what kind of oil were you running? Well, what's the additive package? What gas were you running? What grease were you running? What transmission fluid? What rear end grease? These are all the IUMs, all the petroleums that are flammable on our car. Now, aluminum is also flammable, and magnesium, but they have to be accelerated to a point where they become flammable, and it's very, very hot. And rarely do you ever see magnesium and aluminum catch on fire unless there's not a fire safety crew and it's a big, big bad fire. So what ends up happening is it burns all the consumables. It burns the rubber out from underneath the car. It burns the wire loom, the plastic. The unfortunate part is if we have fuel for the fire will continue to go. So I always ask drivers, well, what would you do if your car was on fire? And what do you think they immediately say, Brian?
Get out.
Great. Now you're unconscious. How are you getting out? So that's why we preach better fabrics, better fire safety, practice getting out of your car. Most drivers don't. Put your helmet on, put your head and neck restraint on, put your gloves on, put your shoes on, strap completely in. If you're a Windonet user, put the Windonet up. If you run a two-way radio or a one-way radio, hook everything up and practice getting out of both sides of your race car. If you don't have a windshield, practice getting out of the front also. If you don't have a back glass, practice getting out of the back. You never know when you're going to have to do that. Take the opportunity to figure out what's going on. So we kind of beat on SFI a little bit because we kind of depend on them, but they have to kind of really build everything in an environment where it's going to be controlled. And what's going to be controlled is we can control this burn at so many feet. It has to burn so many seconds, thermal penetration and thermal shrinkage. We don't want it to shrivel up also while it burns because a lot of materials do that. And that gives us what's called our TPP rating, which is all based on thermal penetration. Thermal penetration is a rating number, and a two-layer suit is going to go somewhere between 10.8 seconds and really infinity if you're only chasing an SFI 5 certification, which is the most current requested certification nationwide anyway. It only has to go 10.8 seconds. Now, 10.8 seconds in a fire is actually an eternity. It gives you a lot of time to get out, a lot of things to do, a lot of that. If you have practice and if you're well prepared. If not, and you're unconscious, or if not, and you're trapped because 3 other cars are on top of you, 10.8 seconds is no time at all. You could potentially have burns and other things that go on. So a lot of things go into that fire science, Brian. There's a lot more to it. But the 2 detergents that are currently made, one of the brands is Molecule. Molecule is a great product. It is an excellent product if used correctly. And when I talk to racers, 99% of them are not using it correctly. Molecule is a liquid. So if you have a top load washer, and most of us have gotten rid of our front loads because they smell bad, you throw your suit in there, you dump the correct amount of Molecule on it, you turn the water on, and you walk away. You come back 20, 30, 40 minutes later, and the suit theoretically should be clean. You should never dry a fire suit, but just in case you did, it is. You should always hang them up to dry them. If you took a black light and you ran over that suit, you would find 95% of your Molecule in the area where it contacted the fabric before the tub filled up, meaning it only saturated that one area. However, if you fill the washer tub all the way up, then introduce your suit, then introduce your chemical after the suit is submerged, Molecule is a great product. Here's the problem. We don't have time to do that. It's 15 to 18 minutes to fill it up. Do you enjoy watching your washing machine fill up, Brian? I know I don't.
No, right.
We're not going to do it. So
No.
the solution is powder. So I'm fortunate enough that in my industry, we have the ear of several medical professionals, firefighters, rescue personnel, that kind of stuff. So we actually started working with a company here in North Carolina that helped us develop a soap. We knew we wanted a powder because a powder won't all absorb in one area. It just lays on top like sand. It takes a few seconds for it to absorb in the water. The powder contaminates the entire tub, so the entire garment gets clean. It also gets clean with no perfumes and no fabric softeners, so we're not adding any accelerant to the wash at all. And Brian, it's cheap. It's $28, and it'll wash your suit 22 times. It's a pretty cheap price to pay for a little bit of cleaning insurance.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. And that's, like I said, that's great info. That a lot of it I didn't know, and I've been around you for 20 years, so it's good to pass along to guys because I hear about this a lot. Like I said, I've just been reading a lot and got some guys on my page that had talked about, took my fire suit, to have it cleaned and all. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not good. Brad, something I know that you won't bring up, but I will. I do know, I keep up with a lot, and I know there's a lot of fire suit makers out there right now popping up all over the country. Not all of them are legit, and not all of them are SFI rated and different things. So I think that's something people really need to watch out for.
Brian, there's a rising trend of that we've been around the industry in textile garment manufacturing. We've been around for nearly 50 years now. So we're kind of one of the old guys, and we're one of the last folks that we try to do as much stuff domestically as we possibly can. Unfortunately, it's not always possible to 100% be domestic, but we do our best to do as much of the stuff that we can. So all of our fabric, zippers, cuffs, all of our embroidery thread, all of that, 100% American, always has been, always will be. The new companies that are coming along, you'll see these ads and they're all over Facebook. There's a new one that just showed up this week, Fervo, whoever that is. If you go to the SFI website, click on participating manufacturers, scroll down to personal protective clothing, and click on the list of manufacturers. If the fire suit you are wearing or the fire suit you are looking at purchasing is not in that list, unfortunately, this means they do not participate in the SFI program. Well, what does that necessarily mean? Does it mean the suit is not Nomex? Nope, doesn't mean that at all. Does it mean the suit is unsafe? It doesn't mean that either. What it means is they have not submitted samples in their name to SFI for sampling to achieve that level of certification. Probably the ugliest one that we ever saw was this Trax race gear. Last year, they took about 300 people's money and either delivered garments that had fake SFI labels. It was right on the SFI website. They posted all about it, or they didn't get their product at all. I mean, hard-working Americans work their butt off to spend $500, $600, $700. Some of them spend $1,000, $1,200 for a fire suit they never got. Guys, do your research. Man, I want to save money too. I want cheaper tires, cheaper gas, cheaper race cars. Yes, I own race cars. I want it all to be cheaper, but you can better believe one area I'm never going to cut corners is going to be safety. I don't manufacture helmets, but yet my guys wear the best helmets in the world. Not based on what people tell me. I'm able to look up that Snell sled data to see who has the best one. You can look it up too. I wear the best seat belts. I'm also able to look up the SFI spec on that. There's a lot of things that you can do just a little bit of research. And the most expensive brand is rarely the best option. A lot of times they've got more overhead. There's more fluff. There's more stuff. So when you're looking at it, look around. And if nobody else at your racetrack is wearing it, regardless of how good of a deal it is, or even if they say the S word, and we all love the S word, sponsorship, there's probably a reason it sounds too good to be true, because it probably is too good to be true. Brian, when we started the inclusive suit program, we launched that program in 2008, meaning you could buy a suit with any design, any color, any logos for $1,000 in 2008. We had exactly 0 competitors. There was nobody in the marketplace that did it. Our very first competitor did not show up until 2012. And since then, I would say 50 companies have followed suit. Most of them are basement warriors or sitting in their kitchen, pecking on their keyboard, buying stuff overseas. They've never been to the factory. They don't pedigree their material. They don't know anything about the burn testing. They are in it to make a buck. And here's what's scary. They're selling those fire suits to their friends and relatives with no research whatsoever. It's pretty scary if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. And that's like I said, that's why I've always recommended your suits and known you for years, and you've always been good about backing what I do. And we've gave away some suits and different things through the years, and I just know I know you, and I know no matter what, your first, what you really want is that guy to walk away and go home to that little baby, your daughter or wife or whatever it is. Absolutely. That night. So
absolutely. We've got a couple of extraordinary examples of our suits in action. Here's the unfortunate part, Brian. We've asked racers many times, and you see me at a lot of major events. I'm at Super Nationals, Mississippi Street Stock Nationals. We do Super Dirt Week. We do the World Finals. We're in Florida for all the Speed Weeks. We're at some very major events. The vast majority of racers under 30, if you asked them, if the sanctioning body said you no longer had to wear a fire suit, would you wear it? The vast majority of them still say no. That scares me to death, dude. Like, everybody wants a fire suit because it's pretty. Very few people. The only people that are wearing fire suits because they'll save your life are people like Harley White, Logan Sherb from Texas. Probably the longest burning sprint car fire we've ever seen for a driver to walk away nearly unscathed. Got burnt underneath his chin. His dad is a legendary flat track motorcycle racer. All of his brothers run. They're from Decatur. Is it Decatur? I think it is Decatur, Texas.
Yeah.
All awesome family, good people. All the boys wear my stuff, but only one of them was in my stuff when the fire happened. And Logan was in that fire over 2 minutes. There's nobody on earth certified to go 2 minutes. And I tell Logan all the time, I don't care what you believe. Number one, Jesus loves this kid. Number two, we must build pretty dang good stuff. His seatbelts physically had him glued in the car. They had melted. He couldn't get out. Finally found some superhuman strength, broke out. Vern Lefebvre, you can look up his fire at Oswego Super Speedway a couple, 3 years ago in a super modified. It was in the classic. Checkered flag had flown. Verve crashed his car. Flames over 60 feet tall, 100 feet long. The only thing that got burnt on Vern was the bottom part of his chin and his hands. Not thinking to get out of the car, he took his gloves off to get out. Got burned up. Arms, everything else was good. Spent a little time in the hospital. I actually saw him not last year, but the year before at Super Dirt Week. And he came over and hugged me. He said, dude, you saved my life. I said, well, I'm glad to hear that, but I hate you had to find out how good the product was. So there are some guys that have been through some treacherous things. And both of these guys use our suit wash. Both of these guys use the recommended wash and care instructions. And I really believe in my heart that, and the fact that Jesus loved them, is the reason that they survived those fires, Brian. They're doing the right thing with the right product, man.
Right. And Brad, real quick, there is a question. They said, where can we get the powder soap and what's the name of the product? So can you give that info out?
I can, Brian. You may be able to do a link. Can I just put it right here in the chat? Will that work?
Yeah, try it and see what it does. I'm not exactly. Yeah. Put it in the chat. That way everybody can see it. Okay.
Yep. I just put our website right in the chat. And if they just go to Suit Wash, they'll see it on there. It's $28. There's 22 washes in it. It's a powder form. It's a tub. If you buy a fire suit from us, Brian, we send you a free tub every year on your birthday. It's just kind of one of those thank yous for doing it. And most of our suits that you buy new come with a tub. So 2 tubs a year will get most of our guys, with the exception of the IMCA guys that are running 70, 80, 90 nights a year. And here's the thing too, guys. If your suit is not dirty, don't wash it. Take it home, blow it off with air, get the loose gruff and mess off the front and the back of it. Hang the suit inside your house, inside out, preferably in your bathroom, and let it dry over the shower curtain for about 12 to 18 hours. Take the suit and fold it up and stick it in your freezer. What that will do is that will kill all the bacteria in the suit. What makes our suit smell bad is bacteria. Nothing else can make your suit smell bad. Everything that you can smell is actively decaying or alive. Nothing can survive in the freezer, not even your mother-in-law. I didn't say that. But nonetheless, you want to make sure you put that thing in the freezer overnight. It'll come out ice cold. All the odor will be gone. You can do the same thing with your shoes, your gloves. And if you can get your whole helmet dry, if you're wearing my helmet, our helmets come apart. So you can take the pieces out and just put the pieces in there. But if you're wearing any brand of helmet, get the helmet dry, put the helmet in the freezer. The helmet will also kill, the freezer will also kill all of the odor inside the helmet.
Interesting. Well, Brad, that's really, really good info. I'll make sure and get the link up where guys can look at it.
I appreciate it.
Is there any, I know you've known me a long time. Somebody asking anywhere else, see the link on their website. I'll make sure and get it on this post off my Racelogic page to your page, Brad.
And Brian, you can go right to our website. Just go ahead and click on the link and just copy the whole link and put it in there. With you and I being on the podcast, and unfortunately I'm on a mobile, I'm not able to do that and this at the same time. So if you want to just go to the Suit Wash link and just put it on there, man, we'll absolutely get that deal up there for him for sure.
Yeah, because like I said, I knew this was a big subject that I needed to cover. I've kind of, I know the last 3 or 4 years you've wanted to come to a class and talk about these same things, but it seems like it's always on a weekend that you got to, go make money somewhere selling fire suits. But one of these days, somewhere we're going to get together.
We're getting closer because I hired a lot of you guys from the industry know Mark Mosley from Alliance Motorsports. I've hired Mark Mosley full time. Mark has taken over as my road manager. So a lot of the tasks, duties, and roles that I used to have, I don't have anymore because those belong to Mark. I just show up in a coat and tie and sell fire suits. But There are some weekends that are going to come available this year where I believe we can do that, Brian. And one other party we hope to bring to your deal is the social media marketing aspect of motorsports. That's actually what my background is, other than technical fabrics and stuff. And also sponsorship, how to find sponsors, how to keep sponsors, how to retain sponsors, how to solicit sponsors. Hope to be able to come do a class for you at some point this year that we can include those topics as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely, about mid to late summer, usually August, September. I kind of know my schedule, and we'll get together. I know the Murdy's all wear your suits, and we had a big class of them guys last year, and hopefully we'll be back. We are going to be back with them somewhere across the country this year, and so maybe we can draw you in there to, because this is things. Everybody wants to go fast, and I can help them do that too. But I need to make sure that they don't have a fire on Saturday night. And I don't want to ever feel like I didn't give them the information they needed. Not to go buy Brad, yeah, do I want to buy Brad's fire suit? Sure. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure they research, got the right information with whatever they're doing so they come home alive. And I know at the end of the day, that's what you want. Sure, you want them to buy your suit, but you want to make sure that they come home live when they get done racing.
Absolutely. And do a little research too, Brian. Make sure those guys are getting on SFI. They're looking at the participating manufacturers, personal protective clothing, personal protective gear is what it'll actually be under. Click on the list of manufacturers. If you don't see your manufacturer listed, you got a problem. In fact, SFI even requested this year, if the suit's not on the list, they're asking for those suits to be confiscated. They want to see what's in the marketplace. They want to see what's in the field, and they don't want unsafe drivers either, Brian. So clean your suit correctly, buy a suit that's legitimate. Obviously, buy something in your budget. Brian, we've got suits all the way down to $249. That's about as cheap as it's going to get for something that's going to save a guy's life. We're happy to work with guys any way we can, and we even offer monthly payments on most of our stuff. So guy doesn't have all his cash together at one time. We can offer him an easy monthly payment program to get it all taken care of, buddy.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, I've always respected you, and you've backed me for sure. I don't know, I'd have to count back 10 years or so, and gave away fire suits, you've done things that you didn't have to do, because you know what, I'm just but I've never, I'm not a guy that's going to bug you wanting a free fire suit and don't go about the sponsorship the right way. I've always promoted you and what you do because it helps the racer. And that's why I do these classes, why I've done it for 28 years, is I don't have to sell anything. I'm not in racing. I'm there to help the racer. And I try to involve myself with people that's got the same mindset as I do. And you've always been that guy. So, that means a lot to me.
It's been a good relationship, Brian, and that's part of sponsorship. And, there's things that I ask you to help me with. There's things that you ask me to help you with. And it just needs to be a good foundation and a good working relationship. And I feel like for probably really close to 20 years, you and I have had that type of relationship, buddy.
Sure, we have. Brad, just a couple of real comments, and I know you got to go because you're an hour ahead of me, and your wife may be sitting there ready to shoot me. So tell her I'm sorry if she is. But it means a lot to me just to get you on for 20, 30 minutes. And I think what I'll do, Brad, is I'm going to go to the SFI site, and I may actually copy all the manufacturers that are listed under there and put it on my Racelogic page. That may open up some eyes to people out there because, like I said, I'm not going to. I would love for them to buy your suit, but at the end of the day, I want them to come home alive. And as long as they're into something, And
keep in mind, Brian, you can buy a suit that has an SFI label on it. That doesn't mean that it's safe. It doesn't mean that it's Nomex. It doesn't mean they participate in the SFI program. It means that somewhere, somehow, some way they got a label. SFI sells labels to legit manufacturers. And unfortunately, overseas, those legit manufacturers will sell those labels to non-legit manufacturers. It's a profit center. And you got to think, if you're wearing a suit that's made in Vietnam, Laos, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Cambodia, wherever it may be, $1 over there is a lot of money, because they don't live like we do. So if they're over there buying SFI patches and for $6 a piece, and they're selling them for $30 a piece to make a sale, that manufacturer's making $24 to sell that for another company to put it on a suit that has had no testing done on it whatsoever. So I can't stress buyer beware enough. If nobody at your track is wearing them, don't buy one. You're crazy. There's no reason to take that chance. This is your life. A really good fire suit is a few $100. A skin graft is a few thousand. A funeral's about 10,000. Choose wisely.
Right. Well, Brad, I appreciate it. And if anybody's got any questions that wasn't answered tonight, I'll get with me and I'll get an answer from Brad at some point. He's always accessible for
Absolutely.
me, but uh, I know
Did
it's
you
the
have some
summertime. And
did you have some comments, Brian, from people that had something to say or some
yeah,
questions?
well, yeah, I mean, some just positive stuff that I'll throw out there. A guy said absolutely incredible information, learned a ton tonight. So that was my whole goal tonight when I
Absolutely.
contacted you
Thanks
this
for
week.
tuning in. You bet. You
And,
bet.
and a guy said, I'm doing a new fire suit. Thanks for the info. I'll be contacting you soon. So,
Happy
you
to help.
know,
Tell them to be sure to
yep,
mention Racelogic. We do some goodies and some extras for our Racelogic guys. So make sure I
yeah,
notice
they
one of your
do.
people, Brian.
Yeah, when and everybody heard that there. So, and then another guy said, informative podcast. Thanks, Brian and Brad. And then, thank you, Brad, for all you do. So, I kind of want to get that out there and tell you I appreciate it. I try to get you on once or twice a year during this time. And then I go bug you about late September, October and tell you I got a class coming up and I'd sure like to have a nice suit to give away to somebody. So, but I do appreciate
Absolutely.
it because I don't want anything for myself. I do it to help that racer. And, if I can get a racer a new suit, then, it helps me and it helps you and everybody involved. So, Brad, I appreciate it
Absolutely.
again. I know I said it multiple times. You've been a longtime friend and a good marketing partner with Racelogic, and we'll continue that. And I'll get this information out to guys and make sure that they know, uh, that they know where to go, what to look for, what soaps to buy, what not to use, and who knows, we may save one life tonight on down the road somewhere. So it'd be worth it.
Certainly our goal, Brian. Have a good night, man. Appreciate what you're doing for the sport, the industry. Really enjoy the podcast, man. Try to tune in as often as I can. Really enjoy what you're doing for the guys, man.
Thank you, Brad. I'll see you soon, buddy.
All right, man. Take care.